Let's make a Pong clone using Greenfoot. So to do this, what we need to do is we need to have our classes set up. So the first thing we want to do is make sure our classes are set up. So I'm going to zoom in over here on my classes, and I'll kind of show you what I have going on here. I have a world called Pong World. I have an actor called Ball, an actor called Paddles with a subclass for a human paddle. Then I have a computer paddle also. But you'll notice right here that my computer paddle is not a subclass of the paddles. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to fix that. So I'm going to go into my computer paddle class, and to make that extend paddles, or to be a subclass of the paddles class, I'm going to come up here where it says public class computer paddle player 2 extends, and instead of the actor I'm going to make it extend paddles. So when I press compile and I come back out here, you'll see that now computer player 2 is a subclass of paddles. So this is how you want to get your classes set up. Let's work on making the paddles move first. So what we're going to do here, this is just a little bit different than the little crab game or other games we've made in class so far. We're going to put the code that paddles can do in the paddles class and then call it from a subclass. So to make the paddles move, we're going to go to the paddles class. And when we get here, the first thing we want to do is we want to give our paddles some speed. So we're going to use an integer for that. So up top here, in between the act method and the whole class, I'm going to press enter a couple times. I'm going to write public integer speed. And an integer has to be a whole number, so I'm going to pick a number like 3 and put a semicolon at the end. So my paddles are going to be able to move about 3. Now, because this is the class for all paddles, I'm really not going to put any code in the act this time. I'm just going to create methods below the act that the other paddles can do. So my human paddle can move using the keyboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press enter a couple times, and I'm going to make a method called keyboard control. So I'm going to go public void keyboard control with 2 parentheses and some curly braces here to put our code in there. Now the way this game's going to work is I'm probably going to use the arrow keys to make the human paddle move back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if greenfoot.is key down, and then in parentheses and quotes I'm going to make it move if I press the right arrow key. So I'm going to type right there. Then afterwards, or on the next line, I'm going to, oh, I forgot a parenthesis right there. On the next line, I'm going to write what I want the paddle to do. So instead of using just the move command or the move method, I'm going to use set location, and I'm going to say we want to move it along the x-axis. So I'm going to say get x plus speed, and then I'm going to write get y. So I'm changing the x-axis, and that's why I'm adding speed here. If I was going to make this move to the left, I would probably have to type another if statement here, and I would have to do something with the x-coordinate and speed to make it move to the left. I'm going to just leave this for right now. I'm going to press compile and make sure I have no errors in my code. And now that it's compiled, I can come in here and I can press compile, and if I press run and I move my arrow key, I'm pressing my arrow key right here, nothing's happening. What I need to do here is I need to tell the human paddle that it can use keyboard control. So I'll go into the human paddle class, and in the act method all I have to type here is keyboard control and a semicolon there. And what this does is it says run the method called keyboard control. And the reason why it can do that is a human paddle can do anything, any code that's in here. It inherits code from paddles. So if I press compile now, like this, and I press run, and I press the right key, the paddle moves. Alright? And if I added some code to the keyboard control method for the human paddle, it could move left. Okay, now let's make the ball move. So the ball moves using code from the ball class. The ball has to move diagonally, so what we're going to do is we have to create two speeds for the ball. So I'm going to come up top and I'm going to add public integer x speed, and I'm going to make that equal to, I don't know, we'll say 3 for right now. And then I'm going to say public integer y speed, and that's also going to be equal to 3. And the reason why it needs two speeds is so that we can make it move diagonally, but also so we can make the ball bounce eventually. Now the ball class is all on its own, so we can actually write code in its act method. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make the ball move by using set location. I'm going to say set location, and I'm going to say get x, so I'm going to use its x coordinate, and I'm going to add x speed to it. And then if I press comma and I say get y, and I add the y speed to it, the ball should move diagonally. Okay, and because we're using the same speeds, like 3 and 3, what should happen is, if this was our ball right here, my sweet little drawing, if we move it 3 on the x and 3 on the y, it should actually move diagonally like this at a 45-degree angle. So that's what this code here does. So if I press compile and I come in here and I check and I press run, the ball was going to move automatically, and the paddle will move if I press the right key. So we'll go like that and press the right key and the paddle moves. Alright, so that's how you can get the ball and the paddle to move in your Greenfoot clone.